something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hairloss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
What's so funny, Joe?
I'm laughing at Fire Up. He goes, I'm balding. Please hurry up.
And it's happening fast, man. Time waits for no man. Guys, welcome to the broadcast. Obviously, we are here live with Spencer Specs Stevenson, who took the time to come to Beverly Hills, check out the Bald Truth studio. You've been here, this is like your third time, I think.
Yeah.
Third time in this studio.
I think it is. I think this is not the first time I've been here.
No, it is not the first time. Well, welcome, man. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And great to be a part of the Bald Truth live show.
Dude, it's always a pleasure, man. For those who don't know who Specs is, for some reason, Specs is a consumer advocate in his own right, in probably the most famous hair loss personality, which isn't the sexiest thing, but in the UK at this stage.
We'll take what we can get.
Yeah.
I will. I'll take whatever I can get, if you want to label me with that. Yeah, it isn't that sexy, but it's at least we're getting the message heard.
No, 100%. You know, listen, when I started this many years ago in my career, being 30 years old, or however old I was, about 30, and telling people what I did was a little cringy. No one really understood what we did. Or what I did, at least back in the day. And I still think people don't understand, Joe, right?
No, they don't. And, you know, what's interesting is I've been noticing lately when I tell people what I do, I preface it with, I'm a YouTuber. And then they say, well, what do you YouTube about? And I say, well, I talk about hair loss and hair loss education and hair transplant surgery. And it goes so much smoother when I give a proper preface. If I come out and say, I'm a hair transplant educator, their eyes glaze over and they're like, huh?
It doesn't work. What do you sell? What is it, like the hair club? What are you doing? What can you do for me? What do I buy?
I don't get it. What is that? So, yeah, it helps.
Anyway, guys, you know, I mean, we could talk about this for the rest of the broadcast, but yes, it is not easy being us. I can tell you that. Trying to explain to the people, you know, or going out and talking to a woman. You're sitting at a bar. What do you do? It's like, I lie at this point. Or I kind of tell the truth, but, you know, I basically will say that, you know, I don't know, I'm in construction, or I have said stuff like, you know, I've been in broadcasting, but I'm retired, and that's it. And I just kind of, or I will tell them that I am a geriatric underwear model, and that usually starts an interesting conversation.
That works.
Right, Joe? I'm trying to wake you up here, Joe. We're doing a show here.
Hey, I'm here. I'm here, man.
I'd leave retired out of. I'd leave retired out of any conversation when you're trying to chat up a bird.
Well, you know what?
That just adds to the age element.
Honestly, did it work? They're like, "Oh, you retired young."
Yeah, very.
You know, guys. The phone number 888-659-3727. A bird. Jesus.
I know. I heard that. I heard.
What is it? Remember the Odd Couple, Joe? The Bird Sisters.
I vaguely remember that.
What a UK thing.
Yeah, we refer to ladies as birds.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. You refer to them as chicks, we refer to them as well. All sorts of things, but birds being one of them.
Chat up a bird. Guys, the phone number 888-659-3727. Believe it or not, this is the Hair Loss Show. Been doing this program for about 24 years. I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. Also happen to be the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. And we are guys, all three of us, by the way, who have kind of dedicated, not kind of, but have dedicated our lives to providing hair loss sufferers and hair loss consumers with a safe place to talk about anything and everything hair loss and to get the truth. We sell nothing on this broadcast. We sell nothing through any of our resources. And it's hard for people to fully grasp that when I explain. Like, I just had to fill out a media form for a conference I'm going to be involved in. And they're asking me, you know, are we bringing, you know, what type of camera equipment are we bringing in? You know, how many downloads you get to your podcast? What products or services are you comfortable talking about, or do you sell? And I just said, listen, this guy invited me to the goddamn conference. This is who I am, and I would like a pass. You know, because I can't explain to them that we don't sell anything, that we're not concerned about downloads. We have no advertisers, because that's not how we earn our income. And the reality is we just want to provide this content for men and women who are dealing with hair loss and no charge to them. And we don't want to be beholden to the industry at large. And we've been able to do that for a very long time. And I feel very fortunate about that.
It's a beautiful thing.
Well, guys, the phone number...
Fire Up says you sell books. You sell books.
I don't sell books.
That's what he's saying what he says.
Have you ever heard an ad for the Bald Truth book on this program? I don't publish my own book.
That's the point. That's the point.
My publisher sells books, thank God, but I don't sell books.
Yeah.
Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. We're going to take your calls to talk about anything and everything hair loss. We have a special guest, Spencer Speck Stevenson. You guys probably also know him from The Bald Truth UK, which we air on apetojgentleman.com. You can check out episodes. We should be doing some more soon. Right, Spence?
Yeah. We're hopefully going to start getting those back up and running. We've it's been a bit quiet of late. We've both been very busy and unable to sync up. People wouldn't realize what it takes to actually get those shows produced and made. But hopefully in the coming weeks, we're going to get back up and running.
Just trying to set up today was a pain.
I haven't, buddy. Well, I only had to fly to LA to catch you.
Yeah, it's like I have to crank up the system. I got to put some Scotch tape on stuff. And
it's like a scene out of Back to the Future in here.
I just had to put on some pants.
Yeah, he's actually got a flux capacitor in the corner. God knows where we're going to head.
But, you know, the one disorganized space is my closet where I throw everything in the studio.
No shit.
And this guy's taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Get some evidence on actually what really goes on here. Like the Bald Truth.
Like maybe Kobren isn't quite as together as he claims.
I don't know about that, mate.
Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's just get to the phones.
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Morty from Brooklyn.
Oh, Jesus.
Jeez, this guy is a regular.
Who?
Gentlemen.
Morty, what's happening, man?
Morty.
How the fuck are you guys?
Hanging in there.
Awesome to see the three of you all together. We've got the three stooges here, the three geniuses of hair loss and hair transplant.
Because you can't take back the Three Stooges comment.
The three amigos.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I was going to say Tres Amigos.
Yes, the Tres Amigos, indeed. Specs, you're looking good, man.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see you there, and Spencer, very cool to have all three of you on screen. They look good. The audio is really good. So I'm glad that all the well, you succeeded considerably. No clicks, no pops, no background noise. It sounds great. Anyway, just called to do my usual weekly call.
All right.
Tell you guys that things are going well here. Hair's growing in nicely. It's funny because I'm at the point where I probably need to get a haircut, but I'm a little bit shy about cutting the donor area. It's grown long. I've gotten this Jewish curliness, and it's kind of bushy and out of control. So I want to trim it down, but I'm just a wee bit nervous about it because I don't know what that donor area is going to look like. Can you guys offer some words of encouragement?
Don't cut it ever.
Ever.
Move
into a cave.
Tell your barber.
And look the part.
Tell your barber, or I guess these days your stylist, right? To go slow.
Yeah.
Explain to him or her what's going on back there. I mean, I'm sure you're going to the same bar, unless you're going to a new barber. They know that you were once bald and now you're not. So something had to happen.
Well, actually, I haven't been to a barber in 15 years because before that I just used to buzz the head myself.
Oh wow.
So yeah. I have one of these. Well, no, it's a wall. One of these regular, just barber style buzzers. I mean, even
God, fucking literal Morty, man. Like he couldn't just go with the Flowbee.
Yeah, he couldn't go with a Flowbee comment. No, this is what you do. So when you go to the barber, you tell them what's going on, and you say start at a longer guard on your clipper, and just work your way down. And then once it gets to the point where it looks like it might be a bit too short, that's obviously where you stop and give it a few days. It grows back over it. If it's just at that point and you found your threshold,
your sweet spot.
Sounds good. No, that's key.
Exactly.
Great.
But we don't know. We really don't know what it's going to look like. How many grafts did you have total?
It was close to 4,000. So, I mean, when it was healing, it looked okay, but I mean, it hasn't seen the light of day in months at this point. We're going on close to 7.
Yeah.
So I got no idea what it looks like under there.
Well, you're going to have punctate wounds all over your head, but they are probably relatively small, if I know John Cole. And, but if you shave to the bone, I mean, it really depends on your skin tone also. I mean, you're pretty light, right? I mean, you have some Spanish. You're Sephardic Jew, right?
No, actually, I'm half Colombian, half Ashkenazi Jew. So
okay,
and the hair is definitely on the Ashkenazi side.
I see. All right.
So,
do you want to wear it short? Do you want to? Is that the goal, to wear it super short? Because I've been there. I know. I wanted to test it out after I had FUE in, and then SMP and ATP, and you want to test it out. I get it. Another alternative.
You had ATP, Spencer?
Yeah. I've had it all, buddy. But you want to test it out to see how low you can go. But the trick is, if you've got a little bit of free time to have to yourself. I did it when I was on holiday. So if you've gone too short, you've got a little bit of time for it to grow back in there. Just so you can find out where that, as I said before, the sweet spot actually lies. But we all want to know, after you've had hair transplant surgery, whether FUE, FUT, whatever, how low you can go, because it's inners. It's one of those things. But like Joe has said, work it down gradually, unless you've got that window of opportunity after to be able to really go for it, cut it super short. If you've gone too short, then you know where it's at, but at least you've got the time on the other side to be able for it to grow back. And if you have to, then use some concealers and what have you. But I get it. Everybody's fixated on how low you can go after you've had a head transplant.
I mean, I'm not somebody, I grew up in the 80s, so I mean, the whole idea of having really long hair was never something that I was actually shooting for. But what I realized is that my hair just ain't meant to grow that long because it gets a little too Jew-fro-y, if you will. So as much as I may want to rock an 80s hairdo.
I take offense to that.
Yeah.
My wife's Jewish.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're all Jews in here except for Joe, huh?
I couldn't care less, but you do you, boo. You do you.
All right,
well,
guys.
I thought you told me that Joe is circumcised, Morty.
I don't know, Joe.
How would he know that?
It's like, exactly. Jeez,
he's just guessing because I'll never tell. Hey, Specs, do Morty a favor and explain what ATP is, because I think that he believes it's something else.
Wow.
I thought it was a joke, basically. Yeah, adenosine triphosphate. That's what I thought it was. But
ATP, essentially, in a nutshell, essentially it's the ink. It lasts longer. It's a bit of a marketing thing around it. It's very similar to SMP. But as we know, I experienced SMP. I don't know if you've had SMP. I don't know your backstory, so I do apologize. I had that. I had it with Milena Lardi. It did not last very long at all. The ATP that I've had has lasted a lot longer. So I think it just boils down to the different ink that has been utilized. It's certainly a process and a technique that I'll be having again when I need to. But have you had SMP before?
I have not. The only thing that I had done was one hair transplant by Dr. John Cole. That's all I've had done.
Right. Okay. Well, I do apologize because I do listen into the Bold Truth Live, and I do know that you call in regularly, but I'm not too familiar with your story, so I do apologize.
No, absolutely, Spencer. I mean, for your benefit. I mean, most of what I'd done was more trying to treat the baldness. I did a lot of medical treatments. I did a lot of regenerative therapies. I don't want to get into, but we can if you like, to basically try to avoid the hair transplant, to try to, do my best to have my recipient areas be as strong as they possibly can be. And I actually made some pretty good headway. I was able to grow back a shadow of a forelock. I was able to grow back a few hairs in the mid-scalp, whereas I started out as, and this is Joe's comment, was Formica bald, shiny cue ball bald, and was able to, build up some of those parietal humps, build up some of that mid-scalp, build up some of that forelock, to the point where you could kind of see an outline of where the hair transplant was actually going to go, and that's pretty much what John Cole actually did, is he filled those areas and made them much stronger. I'm very pleased with what I've gotten done. I've gotten a lot of positive comments about it, and I'm very happy.
Morty, you do realize he was just being polite, right?
One thing I do.
I'm sorry, Spencer. I thought I guess I mistook his English demeanor for his politeness, or vice versa. I'm not sure.
I am very polite. Very polite.
It's easy to do. It's easy to do.
One thing I do know is that from listening to the shows, over the last several years, but I know you've been a regular caller, is that you certainly bring some oxygen to the conversation and make it very constructive, and that's very positive, and that's what we need, is to create that communication, and you certainly do that, which is great, because it's evident that all the people that are listening gain great benefit from people like yourself, because we need more people like you that are prepared to call in and prepared to talk openly, because it's really important to share and enable just conversation. And like I said, you certainly pump oxygen into that, which is what we need, and this is why the Bald Truth is so successful, because of people like you.
Well, I'm very grateful to these guys. That's why I call in, because I just call in, and I always start out by thanking both Spencer and Joe, who are looking at their screens, for the help that they've given me, because I know, based on everything I've learned, that this thing that I've got on my head could have turned out a lot more poorly than it did. So I dodged a huge bullet by getting to know both of you guys.
Specs, do me a favor, point the mic more towards you. Just spin it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Morty. What we're looking at the screens for, I was actually communicating with Spencer about the production of the broadcast that you're watching, because we don't have producers, so I was helping to make sure that the audio on Specs was properly set up, because there was, I don't know if you guys heard it on your end, actually. It sounded a bit tinny there during his monologue there.
Go fuck yourself, Joe. First of all, Specs is encouraging Morty.
He's always got to find fault.
And then you're finding
fault. I got
fault.
shit for it from Morty. No, I didn't find fault. I got shit for it. He's complimenting us, and he goes, "Yeah, and they're looking at their screens right now." It's like, so I was explaining to him that you and I are creating the production value to be as high as possible.
No, I'm working with one hand tied behind my back, because my mic processor number 2 broke, so I had to plug Specs directly into my board. So there's no processing, so there's no boost of sound.
No homo.
And so he's going to have to speak directly into the mic, otherwise it's going to sound a little low.
Yeah. Well, like I said at the beginning, I'm very impressed with the fact that all three of you are on screen and that all three of you sound really good.
I'm impressed we're all alive still.
I was going to say, I'm impressed that it even works.
Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to mention to Specs was I saw your man on the street bit where you were walking down the streets of Istanbul looking for hair transplant victims.
Well, I wasn't looking for them. They just popped up. But yeah, I hear you. They were all over the shop. It was insane.
And you know what kills me about that? I saw it too. It was actually quite entertaining. But I was trying to do the exact same thing with someone Specs, Dr. Ness. We were out hanging out.
Oh, yeah. From the High Street.
Yeah, and I actually recruited him to go to Old Town Istanbul with me, and that was the whole goal, was to do exactly what you did, because I promised some of my subscribers that I would try to do some man-in-the-street interviews with fresh patients from other clinics, or from all these crazy clinics. And the messed up part was there were no patients.
Crazy.
I couldn't find it. We found 2. One of them talked to us, but he didn't want to be on camera. And then the other one was at a distance, and he was with a bunch of people, and he his head was like all healed up, so you couldn't really tell what was going on. And that was it. But I saw a shit ton of rhinoplasties.
Oh,
everywhere.
Yeah.
Rhinoplasties were everywhere.
Yeah. It was insane.
I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Honestly, that was just one of countless people that I saw just walking through the streets of Istanbul, and they're just so like they just don't seem to care, and they also seem to have been to the same place. They've got these headbands around their heads. But I thought fair play to the guys, and I thought it was just, I had to, it was so apt to just to quickly film. I didn't feel comfortable interviewing them. I wasn't there for that purpose. I was actually there seeing a friend. But I just found it. I had to kind of document that and just see. And there was, I've got other videos as well. I can't tell you how many, and it was concentrated. The rhinoplasties, the hair transplants at the airport. It was just amazing. I bet I saw 10 people in the airport just like that, with the headbands around their head, literally just recently had a hair transplant. And it's bizarre, really, because everywhere else that I've always been, when I've personally had a hair transplant, or people that I've dealt with, they're very much, and Joe, you must know this very, very well, that they all want to know how they can get back undetected, you know,
incognito.
Completely. And it's like in Istanbul, it's like an unwritten rule. No one gives a toss. It's like we can just have this, and it's like empowered us, and we can just walk around, because it's so easy to wear a hat, and there's ways and means to disguise it. But these people just did not care, and I suppose fair play to them. And the work actually looked really good. Everybody that I saw, it didn't look. There were no real crazy red flags. Obviously, I don't know where they all went, but I wasn't there on a work trip. I was there just for fun, so it wasn't something that I kind of pried into further. But I'm glad that I documented that, and I'm glad that you saw it, man.
Well, as you know, man, hair loss never sleeps, and when you're in Istanbul, you can't escape it.
No,
you cannot escape this industry when you are in Turkey. So, Morty, what else can we? What else can we? You were just basically encouraged to continue to call in on a regular basis by Spec. So I guess we'll be hearing from you next week.
You're going to hear from me regardless of what Specs tells me. And
Morty, you know what? We love you. You're like my little brother. I give you shit.
All right, guys. Well, with that, I'm going to let other callers who desperately need your help in instead of wasting their time.
Well, so, you're not wasting anybody's time. And you know what? And
always love hearing from you, buddy.
Fuck the people in the chat that give you shit.
It keeps me coming back.
All right, Morty. Take it easy, man.
Take it easy, fellas.
Bye. All right. Bye. Guys, we have lines open. Phone number is 888-659-3727. It's 888-659-3727. Joe Tillman, you just got back from the WFI conference in Istanbul.
Yeah.
And, it was interesting. I was speaking to Undercover Doc, who was also there. And he was really impressed with what was happening in this particular clinic, but also in how these conferences have evolved. He said to me, and he's been in the industry for 30 years, that this is the best conference that he had ever attended as far as the level of information that he was able to garner, just the way that everything was organized and produced. There was no happy horse shit. Yeah, they have awards and stuff like that, but it wasn't the typical political happy horse shit. And, these were his words. And Undercover, if you're listening, you should call in. Basically saying that, these newer meetings are rendering the old school meetings essentially obsolete. There's no point in going unless it's some incredible destination.
I'll say that I agree with Undercover Doc in that what I I really don't like to see, and it's expected all these things, you have to have awards, but where sometimes it's just too much of a cringe show when it's all this backslapping of self-congratulatory awards, same people every year. This particular meeting
head is splitting, by the way. Sorry.
It was had a lot less of that. And I thought it was even better. Like, as far as WFI meeting goes, I think this is the best one ever, simply because they did focus less on themselves as far as the self-congratulatory and backslapping, and more on the event itself. And I mean, there was some fun to be had, some great dinners and things like that, some great entertainment. But it was nice to see that the focus was mainly on the event and the education and the collegiality, which is how it should be.
Well,
so I agree with them on that.
It's unusual the way things are evolving. For all of you, and you know this, Joe, obviously, because it was just announced by FUE Europe, but FUE Europe is now going to be, it's now the first brick and mortar conference that's essentially sanctioned by the American Hair Loss Association as one of the only sanctioned educational events. And one main reason for that is because it is really about providing physicians with what they really need to know to not only better their practices, but to better the lives of patients without all of the nonsense. These physicians don't need to be involved in a political atmosphere. What they need to do is learn how to do this fucking surgery correctly so that people can be helped.
100%.
That's it.
100%. And it's amazing to see the difference in attention to education versus attention to committees, attention to messages that needs to be put out, and to recruiting members of whatever society to help push that message. A big waste of time. No money wasted. We'll say. I'm encouraged by for the future, for the first time in a long time, when it comes to the industry at large, because when you have organizations like FUE Europe, obviously being the first sanctioned meeting by American Hair Loss Association, I think that's fantastic. And then WFI as well, putting on the show that they put on. I'm encouraged. Like, I left the meeting after meeting so many doctors that I've known about, that I had never met before, that came up to me and they were very appreciative of what I do, what we do on the show. Even Specs, they talked about you, and just the message of education and really getting information out to the people that matter. It gave me, I don't know, I felt pretty good about things when I left. And it wasn't a lot of that happy horse shit that the industry is used to.
Well, I think the bottom line is that, we are going to provide, through Global Hair Loss Summit as well, we're going to provide FUE Europe with access to Global Hair Loss Summit, not just their membership, but also provide some of their content from their conferences to let, people who are, say, coming to the summit through the American Academy of Dermatology or A4M or the Aesthetic Society, kind of give them an idea of where these guys should be focusing. If they decide to go to a brick and mortar conference, I want them to know this is going to be a little bit, there's going to be more value as far as your practice and what you're going to be able to bring to the table. It's great to get CME credits, but there's a lot of ways to get CME credits. I think in time, even these European organizations are going to be able to offer some kind of credit system for physicians who attend. So I'm looking forward to it. Guys, I'm going to give out the phone number. We have Specs here. If for some reason the phone doesn't ring in a few minutes, we're just going to go out.
I'm ready.
And have some food and, get Specs. Yeah, and hit the bar. So, guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. We have lines open. If you would like to call in to talk, to vent, if you have any questions about anything and everything hair loss, if you're considering hair transplant surgery and, you really don't know where to turn, or if you made a decision to have surgery on Monday and you're not sure about your surgeon, call us now and we will give you real advice, the truth. And, I say this all the time on almost every broadcast. But even if you've taken time off of work, if you have put down a deposit, if you are completely emotionally, mentally, and physically prepared to undergo surgery, if you find out even a few hours before that you may have made a bad decision, forget about your deposit. That's the best money you would ever lose.
Absolutely. I'll never forget the guy that we talked to. He was at the airport, and he said he was a Norwood 6. He was about to hop on a plane, and he was heading to Turkey, and he was listening to our show. It was a Friday, and he had surgery scheduled that coming Monday. And when he called back later on, several weeks or a few months later, and he told us that after he hung up the phone with us, he turned around, grabbed his bag, and walked right out the door of that airport, and decided he was going to be fine as a head shaver.
Yeah.
And embraced it, and it was just an amazing
I know guys
story.
have contacted specs who are preparing for surgery, and they're just like, they finally have the nerve to ask the right questions, and then they decide to make a different decision. And, we've you guys have saved people's lives. I've been doing this for a long time, but the truth is, this is a surgery that people really take very lightly, now more than ever. And in general, the industry has turned into shit. 7 out of 10 hair transplant patients they range from being dissatisfied to being disfigured in this current market. And I think it's even getting worse. I don't know, what are you seeing in the UK now?
Well, man, just to go back to this topic of me in Istanbul and all the patients that I saw having hair transplants.
Do me a favor, if you can, just speak more directly into the mic.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
When I was in Istanbul, and one of the reasons that I felt a little bit kind of apprehensive with regards to creating a conversation with these people that I could see was because I suppose I didn't want them to realize, or for the question to get raised, that they'd kind of rushed into it or they hadn't necessarily made the right decision. There were so many patients that I saw that clearly had had extensive work done. They were young guys, and I just didn't want them to then start to second guess and feel bad about the situation, because it would have been so easy for me to say, oh, it might were they an IHRS accepted member, and then be like, oh, who are they? And the last thing you want after you've had a hair transplant is for the question to be raised of was it the right clinic that I went to, or were they legitimate, or had they served me in the best in the best way. So that was one of my apprehensions to creating a conversation with these people that I saw. But half of me was like, I kind of was intrigued as to how have they and why have they opted for the clinic that they've gone to. So it was a real kind of dilemma for me, but I kind of decided, you know what, it is what it is. I can't change anything. Why would I add fuel to any potential fire for these guys? Because despite the fact that they're all walking around and they've had hair transplants and they're happy to display the fact that they've had a hair transplant is one thing.
Sorry, is this the first time you've been to Istanbul?
Yeah. First time that I've been there.
Okay. So,
so I got a real
eye opener for you.
Yeah, okay. I know you've been before, Joe, so you're used to it and you've seen it all before. But like you said, there was loads of rhinoplasty or whatever. But I think my apprehension to creating a dialogue and a conversation, as I'm sure it was a bit with you, if you'd have seen anybody, was to then basically say, if you would have found out, oh, you could imagine, can't you? So where did you get your hair transplant done? Oh, at X clinic.
My goal was not to. My goal was simply to ask them exactly what you talked about. Just hey, we're doing. I was going to say something about hey, we're doing a little bit of research on hair restoration surgery in Turkey. So just would like to ask you a few questions. What kind of research did you do? How did you come about finding this particular clinic, and what led you, like just general questions so that they could be analyzed and discussed later, because I don't want to make anyone feel bad about their decision.
No, but I think I think that would have frustrated you at the time. Surgery. I think it was going to frustrate me, because I think, I saw this clinic on Instagram, and I could only imagine that the conversation would have gone, I saw this clinic on Instagram, they had 1 million followers, and they were really good, and they flew me over, and they put me up in a hotel, and it would have just made me gone, okay, well, I hope hope it works out for you well, buddy. But if you'd have done a little bit more due diligence, like I was actually, I think if I go back again, that would be a really good documentary kind of styley to do. And like, have you heard of the Bald Truth? Have you heard of the IAHRS? And it's like just to kind of ascertain how much they've scratched the surface on surgery.
Well, I'll tell you, when you came here, you were talking about like, you saw some crazy like purple Lamborghini and some crazy cars, and so I'm hanging out in the bar, and I told the story I think to some degree on the air before, and there's a guy who is here that I know who is a legit billionaire, like multi-billionaire, legit dude. He found the flyer at the gas station down the road for NeoGraft hair transplants. He brings it to me and he goes, "Is this a good deal?" Now, this guy somehow made it in this world to become a billionaire, and he still is asking me if this is reasonable. Yeah. And so I think that this underscores and really illustrates just how this industry has been commoditized, and it's really looked at as just a nothing procedure.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, this guy could fly anywhere in the world. He could set up his own OR, and he can pick and choose who he wants, his assistants and his doctors. Mm-hmm. I could hook him up.
But this is unfortunately the industry that we are clearly aware of, and it was evident in Turkey. It's evident all over the place, and this is why we do the Bald Truth at the end of the day. And Joe referred to doctors that he'd seen that are referring to the Bald Truth and the message that we send, because they know how important it is to have people like us and resources like this to enable people to actually do their research. Because let's not forget, all these people are going out and having surgery, and we've seen it's evident in Istanbul and other places, and the gentleman that you've just referred to, Spence. But these surgeons are seeing all the repercussions and the repair cases that are coming through their kind of surgery doors. And this is why we're trying to head it off at the pass, so that the people are make the right decision to start with, and aren't just thinking that it's a quick, easy fix based on an Instagram advert. But, as much as we try to do, and as hard as we work to try and preach that message by all the different platforms and resources that we have, we're never going to be able to stop the individual that just thinks it's a quick, easy fix, grabs a flyer down at the petrol station, or sees an Instagram advert and flies over to Istanbul, because it's evident that that's what they're doing. There's so many of them that are having surgery over there that they clearly, the irony, haven't done their research. Now, that's not to say that the surgery that they're having isn't going to be quality and isn't going to be of a good standard.
Some of them are, yeah.
But, some of them are. But it would have paid dividend to do a little bit more research, scratch the surface, and you'd hope that when you see those hair transplant patients, and you could create a conversation with them, that I'm aware of you, or I'm aware of the Bald Truth, or I'm aware of the IAHRS, and then you'd feel like, oh great, you've done your research, you've not just rushed into this based on a knee-jerk reaction, based on a quick fix, on affordability, on accessibility, because you're also going to get a hotel thrown in and transfers. And that's the reality.
It is the reality, and you're also dealing with a lot of cynical human beings, especially, the online world has really, especially those who have grown up in the online world, I look at, and an example is, sometimes I look at Joe's comments. I'm not a comment reader, but I think Joe's comments are interesting. You see a guy who puts out information to help people, and then you got people bitching at him, calling him a sellout or whatever. And I'm thinking, like, holy shit, do you understand that if you just absorbed everything that this guy has to say, and you as well, Specs, that at the very least, you have a fucking fighting chance to have a decent result without ruining your fucking life. And if you disagree with something, at least appreciate what this motherfucker is doing.
But I don't think people want to do the research, do they? Like with anything, in life, you want it easy, you want it quick. It's like the Amazon mentality, isn't it? You want it on Prime.
But they want it. They won't take the time to do the research.
Decision.
Yeah, they won't take the time to do the research, but they'll take the time to fuck with somebody in their comments.
Yeah, they will.
You
but
know?
then you're always going to get
But
the
that's
fucking
just too
tire
easy,
kickers,
though.
man.
Like,
That's just life. It's like,
it's too
Joe's
easy
up there to
type
be
out
knocked
whatever you
out.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't bother me. But I want to make a point, though. It's like, it sounds like we're slamming on Turkey right now. But what Spencer Kobren said about 7 out of 10 patients are either dissatisfied or have been disfigured. We're not talking about Turkey. We're talking about worldwide.
That's worldwide.
That's worldwide. That's what a lot of people don't understand that are listening to this.
I just told you the story about this legit billionaire who came to me with a flyer.
No, I know that, but I'm reiterating the fact that we're not just talking about Turkey. The UK is worse now than I think it's ever been because there's far more practitioners that are picking up a punch.
The UK's always been like one of the darkest markets in the world, man.
Yeah.
No offense.
A couple of gems stand out, but
none taken.
But,
none taken. I think we're only hitting on Turkey
then,
because of Marty and how he mentioned. We've
yeah,
both been in Turkey, so that's just obviously it's current at the moment for us.
So,
but
and
100%, it's everywhere, man.
It's the fastest growing market in the world, though.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, exactly. But for the listeners, like I remember I was talking to Spencer about a recording I heard of it was an online seminar of a plastic surgeon in Texas, and she was instructing people that were tuned in on this seminar about how she has a technician fly in from wherever that technician normally lives, does a surgery for her while she can do consultations and other procedures in another room. And she was talking about the value of hair restoration as an extra revenue generator that you don't have to be involved in.
Yeah, but that's the way it was taught.
That's what this industry is come to.
But if I'm going to be completely fair, that's the way she was sold hair transplant surgery. She was sold a device.
Fair enough.
That's what she was sold, and there's nobody who's willing to help to change her mind or perspective.
Right.
The so-called governing body, and I hate using air quotes in this field, doesn't govern shit. They have created zero standard of care because they're afraid to do so. And whatever standard of care that they've tried to create, it doesn't even exist within their own ranks. And anyone who's claiming that it does is lying. So there's no standards. No one understands. It's a fucking free-for-all. So that's why it is what it is. So there's 3 guys out here who've been in the industry for 2 decades, who know where all the bodies are buried, who are willing to put their necks in the line to espouse, is that the right word? The truth.
Mm-hmm.
And
well said.
I've been getting shit for it for 25 years. From all sides. From the doctors, from the guys, from the manufacturers, the product manufacturers, and at times, anonymous fucking people on the internet who don't understand what we're doing.
That's always going to happen, though, unfortunately. But I think and it's really interesting. Just before I came away and reiterated the reason that I do what I do. I had an interview with the Sunday Times, and it's an article that's coming out this Sunday, which I think is, I don't even know what day it is right now, but it's about.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What was that? What newspaper?
It's the Times.
Times, okay.
The Sunday Times. And the article was, it's about products and services that are new. But we got it, with the journalist, I got into a topic of conversation about identity and about the emotional aspects of hair loss. And there's a big thing in the UK, and it's called The Last Picture. Okay, and it's a big kind of presentation that's been done down in London of people that have committed suicide, and it's the last picture that was taken of them before they committed suicide.
Oh, that's heavy.
Okay, it's really heavy,
yeah.
but I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
So, and it's amazing. It's major. People should Google it because it's and Chris Evans, who's a radio presenter, was down there and he saw it, and the conversation was kind of all around obviously what people are dealing with inside that can create such a severe kind of reaction to want to obviously take your own life. And I'm sure Joe has, and you have, and I have. And I have spoken with people that have dealt with hair loss and have been so consumed by it because it can be so destructive. At times we can have to talk them down from a really emotionally dark place.
Mm-hmm. You're sitting behind a microphone in a studio that I built to do a fucking hair loss show. Imagine how fucked up I was 25 years ago.
Well, this is the point that I'm leading to. And, you say we're out here, and you and I and Joe are out here putting ourselves out there. We've all dealt with the demons and dealt with hair loss on such a heavy level. I think that's why we hang around and why we try and help. And we deal with all the people that want to hate on us or people that try and pick fault with us. But the reason that we do what we do is because we know how important it is to help and to provide an outlet for people to talk about hair loss. Because all things aside, with all different surgeons and all the different politics and everything that comes with this crazy industry, the root of it is that the hair loss sufferer is a very vulnerable soul, and we've all been there, and which is why we feel it's so important to provide that outlet, to be constructive, like I said before, and to provide oxygen to conversations, to enable people to realize they're not alone and they don't have to suffer in silence, and to enable them to avoid or realize that there is another option to them. Because I have dealt recently with people that have actually considered suicide as a result of their hair loss, and it's been pretty heavy. And Joe has, I'm sure, and it's a heavy burden to have to carry, to try and talk somebody down from that. And, I felt it was a great caveat into it based on the fact that we're here and we've been so heavily involved in the industry, and it comes from personal experience and a personal journey that we've all been on. And the reason I still do it, because I found it so important to provide a level of support to people. And I've been fortunate to be able to have the platforms that I have to get the message out. But you can never really get in the short period of time and whatever topic that it is, to get the really important stuff out, the meat and potato about hair loss and how it can affect an individual. And hence why the Bald Truth was born, Spence, and you provided this platform for people to call into, to talk, and to actually we can hold their hand and talk them through this process, or at least give them hope that something can be done, or if nothing can be done through surgery and through treatment, but to give them a perspective that hair loss isn't the end of the world. There are options available to people, but I just wanted to kind of say that that's why we do what we do, because I've personally been in a very dark place. Joe has, Spence has, and we just want to provide people the platform to speak.
I will give you an example. One of the first year I was on the air, I had a caller, not Joe from Staten Island, but a guy who I think he lived in Brooklyn, and he was going through psychotherapy to have what's known as orchidectomy, basically have his balls cut off.
Boom.
And he wasn't trans. He didn't want to become a woman. The only reason he wanted to do this was to stop his hair loss.
Yeah.
And he would call the show every week. And, obviously I gave him a little tough love, and it was good fucking radio, I'll tell you that. That's when we were on WABC. But I was able to talk him off the ledge. And hopefully to this day he still has his nuts. But this guy was a young guy who was convincing a physician, a psychiatrist, to give him the fucking, green light to have his balls cut off.
It's nuts, man.
So this is the reality of hair loss. This isn't something that it's
You did not just say that.
What? What?
Specs said that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. I'm glad you picked up on that, Joe.
But that is
that one in.
A true story. And when I started to do the program, we were on the radio, so we had calls off the hook. So when the show ended, we had to take a hard out, right? There's another program after us.
Yeah.
I would take calls after the broadcast and sometimes be on the air for an hour. And this guy would always call after the program and just want therapy, man. So I essentially I saved his life in one respect, but that is what most people would consider to be a unique example of how hair loss affects us. I've heard of other guys, I've seen it online, who've wanted to do that as well. But this was early on. This is before social media. This is before the forums really existed. This is like in 1999 or 1998. So that is how heavy this can be for people. It's a burden that those who are not suffering with hair loss can never fucking understand.
But I think that's what people forget, and that was the reason that I thought it was appropriate to bring that up, is that's why I am in the industry. That's why I started to get into the whole space and have hair transplants myself and deal with hair loss, because of that emotional burden. And I think, we can talk here and it can get a little bit heavy with regards to everything that's going on in the industry, and we come under fire. But at the end of the day, we are just here as hair loss sufferers trying to, hold the hands of so many people that we know how that feels, and we know the experience to the degree that it can want to make a person want to take their own life. And because I dealt with that recently, and this recent thing that was in London, which is incredibly profound, and it's created quite a wave through all the media at home. This is called The Last Picture, where the last picture of people that were taken before they took their life. You don't know what people are dealing with behind closed doors, despite the bravado, despite the face. And people should realize, that hair loss sufferers also carry a very heavy burden.
Well, there's a famous story in the industry that, it made press many years ago. And I'm not going to mention the doctor's name because this particular doctor ended up having a significant illness and turned his life around, and he's doing a lot of good work now. But there was a time when he may not have been doing the best work in the world. And he did a lift procedure, which is an archaic, ancient, very invasive, male pattern reduction type of procedure, but even more invasive on a guy. And this guy's scarring, his life was just destroyed. And he shot himself in the chest with a shotgun and lived. And then, made the news. They went to court. It was a whole thing. But he was so disfigured, and he was disfigured, that he felt he had no choice but to take his own life.
Wow. That's heavy.
That's how I entered this field. These are the stories that I was privy to. This is what I was hearing when I was doing my research for The Bald Truth, and then, before I even thought about doing a radio show. This is what I was hearing. This is what I was seeing. So when I came out fucking swinging, and no one was prepared for me. I was public enemy number one in this industry, preaching the truth about something that was kind of like, hidden in the darkness. To this day, the reason the field is what it is today is because it has been shrouded in this darkness for so long. And there's so many walking wounded. What you guys see online is fucking nothing, No. Some of the guys, they're so impacted they can't even go online to make a complaint. They're just like, fuck, it's not even worth my time. I'm just going to take my fucking life. All right, so let's take a phone call. 888-659-3727. I don't mean to bring down the room, but that's the reality of what this industry is and what it does to people.
What this does to people.
Heavy show.
But there's a good side to this as well. There are a handful, it's sad, but a handful of physicians who are actually able to help you. There's products and services that can help, but we can't help everybody. Anytime you see something being sold and it's like they're making claims as though they could help you 100% of the time, nothing works for 100% of the time. You have about a 50-50 chance when you're dealing with hair loss to really get something significant as far as long-term effective care and help. I believe. You can correct me later, Joe. I can see you want to. 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
This is Rob from Michigan.
Rob from Michigan. Welcome, man. Got to turn down your radio. Or your radio. You got to turn
Turn it
down
down?
your computer.
That's down.
Okay.
I'm calling because Joe asked me to call.
Oh, I thank
Yes.
God.
I want to know
No, I'm
why
calling
he's going in
because-
for number 9.
Because the front, when I look at the mirror, looks like it's thin, and it drives me crazy. And the work
So
I
you're-
had done
So you're
just
saying
about,
you're unhappy
Go
with
ahead.
your last hair transplant?
No, because the last one I had last year with Dr. Umar was in the back. And it turned out pretty
I know.
good.
Yeah.
Now, why
Yeah,
didn't
I
you
know
have
you're
any, why,
happy
didn't,
with that.
why didn't you have anything to reinforce the front? Or were you not losing in the front back then?
No, as you would say, Spencer, before I had anything done, it was a Formica 6.
Okay. All right.
So I've had 8, and it looks a lot better than Formica 6, but the front it just looks thin. It drives me nuts.
How old are you?
Yeah.
56.
All right. And when did you start the hair transplant process?
2016.
Wow. So you have 8. You've had
Okay.
You've had 8 surgeries since 2016.
Yes.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. That's
And-
Giving me a run for my money.
that's Guinness Book level, man. I didn't even think that was possible.
Well, the first one sucked because I didn't know what I was doing, and I went to an idiot that didn't know what he was doing.
Who'd you go to?
Who was this?
Dr.
Who was the idiot?
Berkowitz. Dr. Berkowitz.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And he's not a plastic surgeon. He's more like a dermatologist. And he would come in there and peek a few times while the girl they ship up from Ohio did all the work.
Ah.
And
Okay.
and he broke them all down in singles that I found out later, and it just
Oh, I
looked
remember
like
you saying
crap.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't look like plugs, but it just looked like it's so thin. What is that? And it sucked. And then I've had
what was so bad? Okay, so what was so bad about that? Was it the lack of density, or did the grafts themselves, as they grew out of the scalp, did they stand out as looking unnatural?
it didn't look unnatural, but it looked like somebody stuck a bunch of onesies all over my head.
Okay. Okay.
And it
Because
just
I've actually seen that done.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that done before, where a doctor that I know quite well took a strip, and then he instructed his team to dissect each graft into singles. So if it was a double or a triple or even a quad, those would become individual single hair grafts, and it turned a 1,800 graft surgery or a 1,500 graft surgery into a 4,000 graft surgery. And this was in complete discussion with, in agreement with the patient. So the patient knew exactly what he was getting into. And it looked completely natural, but it was completely see-through. Like, it was very thin. It was very, very low density, but it looked very natural. And no one knew he had a hair transplant. So he was happy with it just because it looked natural and he had enough. And the reason why this was done was to stretch out his donor as much as possible, because he had a very bad donor to begin with. But that's the point. Is it looked natural?
Yeah.
It just didn't have thickness to it or density.
Yeah, it looked thin. I mean, it looks like you could run through it if you were that small and maybe grab a tree over here, a tree over there. And he never told me that they were going to break them down in 25. They were said 2,500 for the price I paid.
Yeah.
And then I found out, because I knew this one girl that did SMP, that she went to work for him for a short period, and she was horrified. But every transplant they did, the girl punching them was saying cut them into singles.
Yeah.
And that's what pissed me off. And that's what led me on to the journey of doing more.
Well, your story's it's not necessarily unusual. I mean, you have a lot of people who are. Well, there's some positive aspects as far as being able to remove less from the donor and create more hair in the recipient. So there's positive aspects to, cutting grafts to size. But in your particular case, it didn't work out, and they were probably not. They probably didn't have the skill set and the wherewithal, the full understanding of how to utilize that type of method to the patient's, in the patient's best interest. But
and I've heard Joe say something about Dr. Hubner in Florida. When I had 2 strips with him, that's where I got most of my density from.
Yeah.
Because I can understand what you're saying,
the bigger
Joe.
bundles. Yeah.
Yeah, he creates these big double units, basically mini grafts. From what I've heard.
And then I went to the Suit Man in Chicago, and he did pretty good.
Who, Dr. Yates?
Dr. Yates.
Best dressed man in the hair transplant industry.
Dude, that guy always looks like he just walked out of GQ. This guy, it's unbelievable.
I tell you what, he had a suit on him when he did me, and then when he came back after he was done and they were placing the grafts, he had a brand new 3-piece suit on.
That's his post-op suit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. But I would say the best guy that I had results with was Dr. Umar in Manhattan Beach, California.
Well, that's good. So
how long ago was that?
What's that?
How long ago was that last surgery that you had?
Last September 6th.
Okay, so you're nearly
last
year
year,
out
2021. Yeah.
You're 10 months out.
Yeah, and I've talked to him since, and that guy, he seems what I've seen, he knows what he's doing. And he suggested another 3 up top, and that would be it.
Another 3,000 are you referring to?
Yes.
Right.
Beard grass.
Right.
Beard graft. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The funny thing about Dr. Umar is that he has a track record for moving a hell of a lot of numbers. I mean, this guy is the OG as far as moving numbers or graphs, taking it from all over the body. There have been some, issues in the past, especially at the beginning, that have been brought to my attention. But, lately I've definitely seen, even here in the chat, people who have gone and seen him who have had really, outstanding experiences. So I'm not sure if things have evolved in the last. I mean, I knew that they did for a while. They started to evolve probably about 7 or 8 years ago, where these larger cases and the utilizing hair from different parts of the body seem to be working out in his clinic.
And I tell you what, he's very professional. He knows what the girls that are with him have been with him from the start. And I did talk to Dr. Cooley before I went to him. And Cooley had nothing but good things to say about him, but Cooley said he didn't move as much as he could. I don't know why that is.
Well, part of it's comfort level. It's the practice of medicine, and I think Cooley, in his practice, he moves what he believes to be the appropriate amount of grafts in one sitting. And I don't think, and Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that he is as aggressive, and I know this, with any type of body or beard hair.
No, not even remotely. Like, he'll do a little bit of beard, but he rarely touches body hair like chest hair or anything like that. In fact, I only know of one case where he's used chest hair, but he's big on using beard hair for donor scar fill-in, or at least he used to be. I haven't talked to him about it in a while, but that's the extent of his experience there. But he doesn't utilize those resources to do big numbers to add to the primary hair transplant. He sticks mainly to the primary scalp donor.
What are you watching? Are you watching Petticoat Junction in the background or something? It sounds like
that's my wife. That's my wife in the background. Say, you said you wanted to go. Let's go. Why are you talking to those guys? Petticoat Junction.
Petticoat Junction. Oh my God.
Dude, that's an old man reference. Forever. I'm speaking to a guy my age. Yeah.
Jesus.
And with my wife
bitching
at me, it sounds like more like Lost in Space.
Oh, that's hilarious, actually. All right, man. Well, listen. Thanks so much for the call. Good luck. I mean,
thanks,
God, eight surgeries since 2016. You really pushed the envelope, man.
Yeah, I thought I was going to match Joe, but we'll see.
Well, you've more than that. I mean, this is
no
sheer. The 6 years, 8 surgeries in 6 years is unheard of.
Yeah.
I didn't have. That's more than I had in 6 years.
Well, thanks, guys, and nice to meet you, Spencer from Britain.
Thank you.
But you guys have an excellent show. I know I give you shit in the chat room, but it's just fun.
Oh man, listen,
it wouldn't be the same without you.
We appreciate it, and the fact that you actually took the time to call the show. Now, for whatever reason, today's an extremely slow call day, which I'm fine with. I'll get off the air, but this guy came all the way from the fucking UK to be on the show. So come on, guys.
I came all the way just.
Yeah, I appreciate him. Well, guys, you have a good weekend.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for taking my call, Spencer.
All right, you got it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Bye, Joe.
Guys, the phone number is
Bye-bye.
888-659-3727. And yeah, I mean, that's why we do the live show. We can just do a podcast. It would be so much more, it would be easier just to turn on these cameras, not worry about all the fucking bullshit that I have to worry about streaming, and just do a nice podcast with Specs and Joe.
I'm just glad, given the live show, that we've not got some callers that want to throw daggers at me.
Well, they might.
So good.
Now that you said that.
Yeah, now we might get them.
All the lights are lit now.
I thought the gloves were off. I thought I'd be getting all sorts of calls from people for crazy stuff that they believe that I've said, and why did I say this in that resource, or why did I put that doctor on that list? You know, and so yeah. I'm quite
Dude, that
glad
fucking list has caused more trouble.
You've no idea, buddy. You've no idea. You had it. We've had this conversation before.
Oh,
but,
we know.
You know, yeah. It's
Dude, when this doctor from Ohio calls me up when the first list came out, and he's like, "I don't know why you would take 25 doctors out of the IHRS and list them as the best in the world when you have 80 doctors, or however many we had at the time." And now now we're looked at as second-class citizens. And I had to explain to this guy who went to medical school that there are two Spencers in this field. There's one guy that lives in the UK. The last name is Stevenson. And then there's Spencer Kobren. You're calling the wrong guy. Look at the byline of the fucking article.
Well, we've spoken about this particular article a number of times, and, you know, just for the record, when this show gets played back, you know, as you well know, Spence, and as Joe well knows, the AP Gentleman wanted me to make the top 5 hair transplant surgeons in the world article, and it ended up, I said, there's no way on earth I can do that. So the irony of the top 25 hair transplant surgeons article is not about the list of surgeons. It's about the educational content that resides within it. And we're really fortunate, you know, that the article has gained such traffic. And, you know, I didn't mean to speak about the article. I just thought we would have callers coming in of like, why haven't you got this doctor on? Why haven't you got that doctor on? What people need to understand is it isn't about the list of surgeons. It's about the incredible message that's within it, that protects people, that provides them resources like the IHRS, like Hair Transplant Mentor, like FUE Europe, the relevant forums, the bald truth. And that's why I felt that when I had given the opportunity to write the article, I realized it couldn't just be the top 5, and it had to be the top 25 at least. But that article has just gone from strength to strength. And the number of people, and this is what doctors don't seem to want to realize that on the article, the number of people that article has protected, has made them question what they're about to do. And as we've just referred to, different people that are going all over the world for different surgeries that aren't necessarily educated and informed. If they get chance, and we've dealt with Spence with callers that are called the UK show that were about to go for surgery and fortunately found the article, and as a result of it then found the IHRS, and then have been fortunate enough to get a little bit more educated on the topic and have realized, whoa, thank heavens for this. And, you know, I'm very fortunate, as is the IHRS, as is Joe, as is the Bald Truth, that the article has gained such traffic via, you know, the algorithms and via Google, and it resides at the top there. So it isn't about the surgeons, for anybody that is about to call in with, why isn't my surgeon on the list? It is about the message within the article, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm very fortunate that it has gained such exposure over the years, and will continue to do so thanks to Ape to Gentleman.
Well, what I tell the surgeons who contact me about, I'm like, even if it is about the surgeons, all these guys, most of them, or at least 9 out of, or 99% of them are IHRS members. So say, you know what? This is promoting an organization that you're a part of. You should be fucking happy about that. What I thought was funny is the first year, there's a guy whose partners were somebody. And instead of congratulating his partner and saying, I am so proud to be working with, Dr. So-and-so for so many years, and then he made one of the top hair transplant surgeons in the world list, he went fucking apeshit because he wasn't on the list.
Mate, do I remember that? The fallout of that. The fallout of that was insane.
It's great.
If he's not using that to his own benefit, like a smart person would, then you got a nerve. And here's the thing. I love the traffic that the article always gets every year, but I have to say, part of me suspects that it's a lot of doctors just sitting there hitting refresh on their browser to see if their name's been added at some point. Because the doctors that are not included are so incensed by your work, and I think it's I look forward to it just for the comedic aspect of it.
Well, just
to see them lose their minds.
Next year it's going to get mixed up a little bit more, and it's going to be refreshed a little bit more because I've been in communication with a number of different surgeons, as have you, Joe, and as is Spence, and the IHRS is constantly evolving. But just going back to the doctor that Spencer was referring to, it was quite funny because he put out there that I'm not on the list. I should actually be at the top of that list, and I took great pleasure in telling him that the list was actually alphabetical, and he wouldn't be at the top of the list even if he thought he should be. But it was. It just goes to show the level of understanding, I think, is the most diplomatic way I can put it, that these surgeons have, that he didn't take the time to actually see the purpose and the objective of what the article stood for, and was more kind of intrigued as to, or incredibly outraged to the fact that he wasn't even on the list, and he didn't even know what the article was about. So that's the reason he's not on the list.
I had a guy that I told you that called me and was just like, I don't even see why I would continue to be a member of the IHRS. And I said, well, given the fact that you can't read, Doc, baby, you shouldn't be a member of the IHRS. This probably doesn't work. Jesus Christ. All right, guys, phone number 888-659-3727. I'm more than happy to end the fucking show early, for sure. I mean, I got some good stories to tell, though. But we'd love to take your calls. So give us a call. You have any questions or concerns about hair loss. Yeah, man, I mean, that's one thing about the fucking list, which, drove me nuts. And, I mean, I laughed about it. But I don't know if you remember, I told you the story, John. I maybe told you the story, Specs, but I'm speaking about John Cole now because I say everything that I say about John with love. We've really come to a meeting of the minds over the years, and we work really well together, and he really supports us in a way that, honestly, very few physicians in the industry support us. I mean, this guy really goes to bat for the work that we do, and I admire him and I appreciate him. But the first time I actually was made aware of John Cole, or I met John Cole, was back in 1999, or maybe 2000. And he had contacted me, and he saw my list of physicians who were listed in the Bald Truth book. And he said, I could transplant circles around these guys. How come I wasn't listed in the book? And I thought that was, first of all, I thought that was, I admired the fact that he would come to me and he had such confidence, and I wanted to get to know more about him, and I'm glad that I did. But there is a level of ego in every industry, which I understand, for sure. But in this particular case with Specs and this list, I could not understand that at all. That I couldn't. Wanted to be a part of the organization, wanted to prove yourself to be a part of an organization, whatever. That makes sense to me. But it's a fucking article.
And that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
an article, but people just couldn't really get their heads around it. And there's countless other really, really powerful articles as well, but no one's getting their knickers in a twist if they're not quoted in that one. Everyone wants to be deemed or seen to be on this article, and without disclosing too much, the amount of emails I've had of different surgeons that are desperate to get on this list is just insane. And what they don't realize is that they need to be if they were prepared to be more part of what it is we do, and prepared to help share the message and educate the patients as we do, then they'd stand a much better chance of being included in different articles. But sadly, and this goes out to a lot of surgeons, I think, and as you've expressed, Spence, it's like counterintuitive, isn't it? People don't want to share information that's not theirs, or isn't to do with them. But however, the irony is, if they do, then they'd find that they'd be much more involved in various different things that we're a part of.
You know what they want? Specs, leads. They want to be listed somewhere so they can get fucking leads. If they don't think they're getting leads,
they want leads.
When I hear from doctors over the years, this doctor that complained about you, he started to talk about leads, during this conversation, and how this is going to affect his leads. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking to me about leads? I'm not here to get you leads, man. I'm not here to sell hair transplants. That's not what we do. If you're associated with what we do, then you have the opportunity to state clearly in your marketing materials that you are accepted into this select group of physicians. And these are the reasons why. And understand that their message is surgery is a last resort, and they're not here to sell you surgery. We don't have online consultations, all the happy horse shit that these fucking idiots, and I'm sorry to say, not all of the docs, obviously, but the old school guys especially, think that you need to have on an association website. Think about that. Think about that. And Daniel C., you got a lot of questions. Love to answer your questions.
Say, give us a call.
But call the fucking show.
Call
it's a
us.
call-in show. This isn't a show where we're answering questions from your chat. But I'll answer one question. If you want to know which doctor I would go to if I decided to have a hair transplant, that would be professional suicide, don't you think? You think I would tell you guys who I would go to?
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Don't you think every doctor I've worked with over the years who've offered me a free transplant, I would have to have them sign an NDA? Not the other way around. No videos, no pictures.
I will never broadcast, like Dr. Wong's always been my doctor. If I go to any other doctor, I will never talk about it publicly. Just don't want to do it. Because my journey is my own, and I don't want to influence anyone else's beyond what I've already put out there.
I'm going to say this to St. Louis Celine. English Spencer's mic isn't loud enough. His mic is loud enough, but he has a tendency to kind of back off his mic. So,
sorry. I've got stage fright in here. I've got stage fright.
And it's as loud as we can get it. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of feedback. So, yeah, if you want to hear him a little bit more,
call in.
More volume, you can hear him on the phone. Yes, call in.
Call in.
Yeah.
You'll hear me a lot better that way.
But we'll get him to speak directly into the mic, and
I will. I do apologize. I think it's just this chair and the setup, but I do apologize.
Yeah.
If anybody else that's struggling to hear me as well.
Blaming the chair, Joe.
I know. Well, he's blaming you, Spencer.
No, I should get. I have a standing mic stand over there, which I should have set up for him because the mic arm is a little tight. It makes it a little difficult. So I do apologize for you guys.
Little lessons.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we're gonna call it a day anyway because these motherfuckers aren't calling in, and it's unusual. We usually have a full board. Well, most of the time we have a full board. I do ask for calls once in a while.
That's fine.
But I'll give you guys exactly 60 seconds. So if someone doesn't call in 60, there you go. We got a call.
There we go.
I don't need a wee.
Yeah. Do you have to go?
No, we'll take the call,
Okay.
and then we'll make it the last call.
All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Adrian from Melbourne, Australia. How are we?
Adrian, how are you, man?
Adrian,
good to hear from you.
To the rescue.
Good,
How are you, buddy?
Good. I'm good. I'm really well, Joe. Specs, how you doing?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for calling in from Australia. God knows what time it is there.
It's work time. I'm actually at work. I have this problem it's Saturday morning here. It's about 9:30 a.m. And I work every Saturday, and I've got this boss who's bald, so I really have to sort of try and sneak these calls in. But, yeah, I'm good.
Glad we got you.
Right on.
So how's the transplant?
Yeah, look, Spence, I couldn't be happier. I'm just at 5 months, and it's really starting to sort of give an idea of where it's heading, and that direction is in a really good way. And I've said this before, but the biggest bang I've got out of this, as much as the hair, is just not having these god-awful, scars like the mark of Cain on my forehead showing anymore, and the ones in the donor, and it's given me a second life. I keep reaching for a cap that I don't need anymore. It's a really bizarre feeling, but it's a fantastic feeling.
That's good.
Oh, it's like a phantom limb.
So that's good. The hair's great. Still in touch with Dr. Pradeep, sort of every few days almost, and I can't speak highly enough about him. And
every few days, wow, that's a lot of contact.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I can't even get a hold of the guy.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
I'll get him to ring you. Yeah, he's a very busy guy too. I don't know where he gets the energy. I think he's in New York at the moment doing some consultations.
You know where he gets the energy? He's got
He's
momentum now.
Yeah.
He's got momentum now. That's what he's got. He's got the momentum, and
that's right.
This guy's not going to stop until he takes over the world. And I can't blame him. He's a young guy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I do feel my age now that you mention it, but not on my head. So that's really good. I had COVID. I'm just coming out of it now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I got knocked around for about a week.
What were your symptoms? I'm curious.
Yeah, look, the usual ones: sore throat, headache, really bad headache. Snotty nose, lethargy, no energy.
That sounds like a Tuesday for Joe.
It's my hangover.
You'd have those symptoms if you were married to my wife. I tell you now.
Terrible.
There we go.
So you're 5 months post-op. Sorry, did I hear that right? You're 5 months post-op now, yeah.
That's right, Specs. Yeah.
And you're already seeing the real benefits even at this early stage, because you do know that obviously with regards to the growth times, I can hear myself better now, Spence. Thanks. You are really at the turning point of really seeing at the start of when you see great things, because you've got a minimum of 4 or 5 months ahead of you of just pure gravy, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Specs. I sort of think I've got a feeling. I think by month 6, I'm going to turn a corner.
Right.
I can still feel hairs popping through the scalp in places that they weren't before. So, yeah, I think by month 6 it's going to take off. But we'll see. And I'm very conservative. I'll wait until my eggs are in the pudding before I start counting. But I'm happy so far.
He's very conservative,
I
Specs. He wouldn't have had a surgery for 7,000 grafts. He's very conservative.
In India.
Holy moly. 7,000 grafts. No wonder you're already seeing the benefits then at 5 months, man.
Actually, it was actually 8,723, but who's counting?
Holy shit! I do apologize. I'm not familiar with your surgery. So fantastic. Well, mate, you're only going to see incredible things as a result of that kind of number of grafts in terms of a transformation. I presume, and forgive me and for the listeners if you've already told this story previously, but I presume were you high in the Norwood level to warrant that number of grafts?
Oh yeah. It's a long story. Last time I rang in, they nearly hung up on me. I went on. It was that long story. But it's basically 18, years of age, started to slightly recede. You'd never have had anything done. This is back in the 80s specs. 2 punch graft hair transplants. Terrible. Devastated. Had no idea what they would even look like before surgery. Long story short, 6 years of plastic surgery, then a hairpiece for 25 years, then SMP for 6 years.
Wow.
And then I always had my finger on the pulse with the hair transplant industry.
You had a turban on for like 3, I think, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. At least
And then a
in India.
yarmulke for one.
Yeah, yarmulke, yeah.
Yeah, I took up a face, and and basically I was a repair / giga session, and Dr. Pradeep's even talking about wanting to do a second surgery. I don't know where he's going to do it, but anyway,
he wants to do the temple points. He's obsessed with temple points.
Oh, I've got them. Don't worry,
Yes.
they're there. Yeah, that's his lucky signature.
For 8,000 grafts, you must have had your eyebrows done as well, no?
No, but we did get some grafts from some quite nefarious places, to say the least. But
wow.
Yeah, but, all's good. But the only thing is, and I drop this every time I ring, is just, I get a lot of specs. I get a lot of calls and messages from people who are being fucked up on a regular basis, and it's worse now than when I was 18. Obviously due to social media, whatnot. And I get messages from people, and I think, this guy's got to be 21, 22. And then I read they're 36.
Mm-hmm.
But the message really needs to get out. So, Specs, I want to thank you for everything you do in educating people. Same with Joe, same with Spence. I can't thank you guys enough, because there is a huge need, and sadly that need is growing every day.
Well, it is growing every day, and the new normal of this industry, as we speak about all the time, has really made consumers even more vulnerable, because they're being shown a lot of nonsense online that they believe and that they aspire to be. These incredibly aggressive hairlines, having surgery at a young age. These influencers are going out there saying, well, I did this. I went to this country and I had this done for this low price. And it really is just an option now.
I know.
And it's just, they don't want to believe the truth. Specs always says something I think that's very powerful, that they want to be told what they want to hear, as opposed to what they need to hear. And I always found that to be a very powerful line.
And that was me at 18, absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm seeing still and hearing still. And I just try and get my message out there to try and prevent someone going through what I did, because I sort of feel if I can prevent someone from doing it, then it was almost worth it in a way, what I went through.
Yeah.
So, I'm at a good place now, and that's thanks to you, Joe, and I've got a lot to be grateful for.
Well, I'm great. I'm really happy that you're grateful, and that you're happy
100%.
with your situation, and that you're in a much better space, and you deserve it, man. You really do.
No, thanks.
And one thing I'd like to say about you, Adrian, is that you've done a great job of helping to support others that are in similar situations, not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I've seen you online, like on Instagram and all that. You're doing a good job, and I understand why you're doing it. And so thank you for your contribution to helping others.
For your service. Thank you for your service.
No, not at all. No, not at all. And it really starts with you, Joe, and Spencer, and you, Specs. So, let's see if we can just change something.
Well, we'll continue to work on it, man. As long as we're healthy and able to do this work, why the fuck not? What else do I got to do?
You can do my job on
Good
Saturday
answer.
morning if you want. All right,
man.
So I'm going to let you go, guys. Have a fantastic weekend,
Adrian,
and take care.
All right, you're a good man. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care,
All
buddy.
right, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Bye, man.
See you, Joe. See you.
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to let Specs take a fucking bathroom break.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And I'm going to put the camera on you, Joe.
Okay.
I'm gonna just let you struggle there for a little bit.
Good luck.
See what happens. Good luck.
Struggle with what? There's no struggling. Well, the struggle is I can hear myself now. Wow. That's distracting. He's me hanging.
I'm here. I'm
I
here.
can't hear myself. Hang on a second. Check 1, 2. Check, check. Yeah, that's better. Okay, you fixed it. Thank you. Oh, goodness. I love it when Adrian calls in because, sometimes the industry, it just, like we're talking about some great things going on and how I feel better about the industry or I left Istanbul feeling a little bit better about the industry. But in general, it's still a shithole. But it's when people like Adrian call in or even when Morty calls in, some of our regulars, and I consider Adrian a regular now, it helps to kind of keep things a little balanced, because he's such an upbeat guy. And I remember being that guy myself before I got jaded by everything that goes on behind the scenes. and I remember what it was like. And so I kind of envy Adrian to be in that stage and in that space in his head right now. And the emotional aspect of everything, he really gets a big rush from this. And I understand it. It's therapeutic, actually. Talking to others about what he's been through and helping them through what they've been through. I was doing that a lot, and I needed to, like I said, it was therapeutic for me because early on in my career, I was still just a patient, and going through, after the repair and all that. So,
well, you were just,
I love hearing from him.
It's funny. I did what I did because I thought it was cathartic as well. Yeah, I mean, I also got published. And I was like, listen, a lot of people can learn from this, and I somehow had the wherewithal. Thank you, sir. Somehow had the wherewithal. Go ahead. Do whatever you want. Don't worry about the camera. I somehow had the wherewithal not to get fucked up like you guys did.
I just saw a rat or something run across the bottom of the screen. What the hell was that?
I was like, oh man, he used the wrong bathroom. He's going to fall off the seat because my seat is loose in this bathroom. It's not the guest room. I was like, this guy's going to fall right in his ass. He's going to sue me.
I only needed a wee.
Okay. you never know. So,
Daniel C., just want to say thank you for doing what you do. I would have had a second horrible HT from Dr. You can thank us by calling in. I'm just giving you a hard time. No, you're welcome. Glad we could help. Welcome back, Specs.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I've been desperate for the loo for about 50 minutes. So
you should have said something, man.
Yeah, that's why I was so quiet on the mic, because I got holding it in.
I would have given you a piss bottle. What
do
you think I do here,
there's a bucket down here. I should have used that. I think that's what Dr. Ken Anderson used last time he was here.
You see why I have it covered over here on the bottom?
No, I feel a lot better. I'm a bit more chattier now.
Guys, I'm prostate
Let's start the show. I picked a beer up as well on route, so I'm ready.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Specs is ready to party.
Dude, I have a refrigerator full of fucking beer. I can't drink any.
Yeah, no, you got a good bit. You got a good fridge, Spence. I'll give you that. It's going to be lighter by the time I leave here, I think.
Filled it. I'm prepared for this. I'm going to have a good time. Boom.
Well, last time, if we think the three of us were on camera together, was actually 10 years ago when we came over to that BBC Tester documentary, and we certainly put your fridge to test that night.
I was able to hold my liquor a lot better back then.
Were you really?
Well, yeah, because
really,
at least, you didn't hold it that well that night, buddy.
On the air, I had probably about 10 beers. It had to be 8 or 10 beers.
Yeah, and then we got into the Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
It was a good night.
It was a good night. I would say
it was legendary.
I would say Tillman was the first one to fall, though.
Well, we all fell pretty hard.
No, we all fell, but Tillman was the first one to go down like, I got to go to sleep.
That was surreal. That was a surreal night to be tucked up in bed by Spencer Kobren, I must admit. But that's a story for another time, not on the live board truth.
But it was funny because that was the first time we all met.
Yeah.
And there was this sense of like, I'm the guy behind the curtain type of guy, and I didn't really know you guys. And you came to my... I don't let anyone come to where I live.
Yeah, the compound.
So that fucked me up.
Yeah.
we just drank heavily and played on the putting green and hung out.
Yeah. It was really good. And hey, well,
and billiards. We did the billiards, and then we your other half took us to a restaurant.
Bless her. She had to drive three drunken amigos around.
And Specs kept asking the waitress. He kept saying, "Look at my hairline."
No, that was Joe telling her to look at my crown. He may have a good hairline, but he's thinning in the crown all night. I was super paranoid. That's why it got me on Dedesteride. That's a true story.
That's only because you don't remember this, but I was actually whispering behind your hair. I was like, "That's a thin crown."
Yeah,
that's a thin crown.
No, I don't. I remember it well, buddy. I remember it well.
It's burned into his fucking brain, man.
Yeah,
that was a dangerous night.
I can't believe we've not had any more callers in, or any doctors even that want to call in. That aren't even on the list. Want to try and massage their way in.
And it's funny. It's a relatively busy show, and for whatever reason, we're not getting a lot of calls, and that's fine. Look, it happens. You guys are shy. What are you going to do?
The chat's got a lot of people in it. I can see.
What are you going to do? But we'll vamp for a few more minutes, and if you guys want to call in, we'll stay on the air for another 10 minutes. If not, fuck you guys. Phone number is 888-659-3727.
So, Joe, obviously Turkey was a really, really clearly a very busy few days for you. Yeah, and I've kind of seen briefly on your Insta. There's obviously a summary of stuff, but what was the highlight? What was the highlight of the workshop? Don't say the gala dinner either.
I think it was drinking with John Cole's kid.
No. It was drinking with. Yeah. It was interesting. No, he's a good guy. We had a good time, but I was actually there for 9 days.
Were you really?
I was there.
God.
I was there throughout the conference, and then I stayed a few extra days to get more intimate with the clinic at ASMED, and then I was there for an extra couple days, and I'll be discussing that publicly later on. But I was there for a full 9 days, and just by the time I got caught up on my jet lag, I had to hop on a plane and do it all over again. So that was good. But the highlight, honestly, I think the highlight was just the quality of the people that were there, because all the big names were there that everyone reads about online, like Lorenzo and Ferraduni and my boy Bruno Ferreira and all these guys that have been around for a while, up and comers and old school guys. But there are a lot of new people that I'd never heard of before. I mean, there's like over 300 people there, so I'm not going to know everyone. Wow. A lot of people that are unknown, but there were a lot of people that came up to me wanting to talk to me and ask me questions, and I thought it was, and that's what I was talking about earlier. It was nice to see the interest in what we do and the information that we put out, because that's what they were interested in. That's what they were talking about. And I had more doctors ask, "What does it take to work with me?" Just at this.
How do I get on the top 25 list?
This event, yeah. I was like, "I'm not Specs. I'm not Specs." No. And they're like, "You don't have an accent." No. But there are more people that are asking me about what is involved with what I do, and in the IAHRS, and it gave me, I don't know, it gave me insight into, like, and I've looked at these people, like I'm in discussions with a lot of people that are interested in working with us, and what I'm seeing online is encouraging. I'm seeing more work out there that's looking really nice. These people seem to have good ethics, and they said the right things. Maybe because they know who I am, they knew what to say. I don't know, but I'm digging deep. I'm gonna learn about these people, and who knows? Maybe we'll be able to introduce them to the world.
Well, here's the thing: the old guard is essentially dying off. When you say when you say all the names, and this is no disrespect to those who really made this their life's work, and there's some really caring doctors, but there are no names anymore. That model is done. That's gone. There are thousands of guys now that are entering the field who are jockeying for position, And to make a name for yourself in this field is not that difficult anymore because there's such a low barrier to entry. So if someone has a very strong social media company or social media presence, they can make a name, in quotes, for themselves, and then they're looked at as names. But what is evolving is we've been doing this shit for so fucking long that we basically, these guys look towards us, the American Hair Loss Association, the Bald Truth, the IHRS, you guys and what you do. We're essentially the, what's the word I'm looking for, Joseph? Not the status quo, but we are the mainstay of this industry now. We've been around for so long that they're looking at us as, okay, these are the societies to look towards. These are the guys to work with. Yep. These are the organizations that they want to be attached to. As opposed to when I got into the industry, I was like a fucking interloper. I was looked at. I was in everyone's fucking crosshairs. You know,
this guy.
Yeah. Now we're the establishment. That's what I was looking for. To these young people.
There you go. Yeah. See, I don't relate to that word, so that was why it was difficult for me to kind of jump in with that one.
So that's what I find unique. So when these younger doctors contact me or apply to the IHRS, now it's not like 20 years ago when someone applied, oh, how many leads will I get? They're like, we want to be part of this, this organization.
Yeah, but I think that's because they're finding us through the better, newer, fresher resources that are out there, rather than the old process that once was. It
was such a horrible,
there's
fucking place.
There's an element of that that's still as seedy as ever, as we know. But I think
but that's important. I never got one question about leads. I never got one question about how many about the overall marketing effect. It was all about, doing the right thing and supporting the right message and letting the world know it. That's what was encouraging.
Because I think these new doctors are finding our kind of resources via a new medium. Do you know what I mean? That they're realizing that this is the way to kind of help get kind of awareness out there, which in turn leads to kind of getting exposure to patients and enables a more educated patient that doesn't necessarily come about by the old method, which is obviously kind of hopefully on its way out. It'll always reside there. There'll always be those types of platforms that do their business that way. But I think it's positive that, Joe, like you've seen in Turkey, that people are talking to you as they've seen you, are aware of you and what you do as a result of kind of or achieving the right message and enabling to connect with the patient in the right way. And everybody wants to, or good people will see that that's the right way to go about it.
There's always going to be a lot of problems. And a guy in the chat room, and I'll answer this question: is it going to be commonplace in 5 to 10 years to see really botched hair transplants? It's commonplace now, but these guys, even people who believe they had good results this year, who are online, these influencers that are pimping out these fucking clinics that may look reasonable at this stage, they're fucked. They have no idea what their lives are going to be like. I hope to God that they really cash in and create huge YouTube channels and make a lot of money on YouTube doing this shit, because they're going to be miserable motherfuckers.
I'll tell you, I'm starting to see the chinks in the armor of at least one YouTuber.
I was like, what? When you said chinks, I'm like, what year is this, man? 1954?
That's better than my nuts one.
You really went. You really zoomed in on that one a bit too fast. I'll just say that. Like,
Jesus Christ!
Let him finish his sentence, Spence.
What is this, a Jerry Lewis movie? God Almighty!
No, come on.
Yeah.
My God, get your mind out. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, I'm really starting to see the weakness in the armor of at least one YouTuber, where he's made some really bad decisions about we'll say non-necessary hair restoration surgery, and we'll just say that the donor area doesn't have much left to give back where it's needed. That's a problem that we've got here.
Are we not allowed to mention the name of different?
I'd rather not. I don't want to drag him through the mud just because he made some stupid decisions. I mean, he's doing his thing. God bless him. Like capitalism, go capitalism. But he's going to have some issues in, I say 3 years. He's going to have some real tough issues to deal with.
I know it's crazy. It's one thing when these guys make this mistake and they're like, okay, here's an opportunity. I'm going to make some money on YouTube, which I think is great. Honestly, God, the barrier to entry, if I had access to all this shit and not have to worry about dealing with publishers and fucking program directors and getting yourself on the radio and all the fucking hoops I had to jump through to become something in this industry and do what I do, I would have been, it's like a blessing when I see the opportunity these kids have. But they jump in so quickly without really doing their research and due diligence, and they have a surgery or maybe two, and all of a sudden it's like off to the races. I'm going to have a YouTube channel. I'm going to sell products. And I don't think they believe that they're doing any harm.
No, but they've not been in the trenches.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a guy that just saw it in the chat, and I've only just pulled at the chat, and it was interesting. He said, if anybody ever brings up the topic of hair loss, he always refers to the channel to these people, which I think is
great.
Essentially, man, that's what I do. You know, that's what we do. I have a platform or the ability to speak to people on a global scale via the mainstream media. And I always try and make sure that I can mention the bald truth, because the bald truth has been such a flagship for enabling people to, have dialogue. And I think, we can get into conversation and we can analyze the industry and we can, kind of poo-poo this and poo-poo Turkey and blah, blah, blah. But I think we have to come back to the root of it. And it's really important, I think, to reiterate what this guy says, that anybody that's out there that's dealing with hair loss and dealing with the demons of hair loss and everything that comes with it, it comes with some heavy, heavy baggage, is to, refer to the bald truth, enable people to tune in and realize that they're not alone and that they can call in, or despite the fact we haven't had many callers
we have some calls on the line now. We'll take one more before we close up shop.
Good man in the chat there. Fair play to you. I didn't catch your name, but thank you.
All right. Well, let's take a phone call, and that's all. Listen, the reality is, and we're not saying this out of. And I tell Joe this, sometimes you have to be careful. I want people to go online and have the opportunity to succeed and talk about hair loss as much as possible. We want the narrative to be there that hair loss sucks, and there are places where we could discuss this issue. That's
yep.
It's important. We want to empower people. But when someone doesn't really understand the industry, even though they think they do, there's only so much you could read about. There's only so much knowledge you can gain from what you see and what you read about online and regurgitate. Yep. But if you're not in the trenches, if you're not sitting there and know exactly what's behind that fucked up curtain.
Well, it's fucked up.
And it is fucked up. I mean, we got the goods on everybody in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
And we know exactly what really transpires. Then they can't guide
Christ.
you.
With Specs with us tonight, we got more knowledge about where all the bodies are buried than we've ever had before. This is
firepower right now.
Yeah. I think he still has me on video. The last time he had to drag me home from the Palm.
Oh, honestly, Spence. This is the only reason he has the Bald Truth UK is because the evidence I have on him from last time I was here. That's not true. That's not true. It was a good night, though. It was a good night.
We had a fun time until we didn't, or until I didn't. All right, here, let's take a call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It was a good night, though.
Hey, man, you got to turn down your computer. Hello? You're on the air, buddy.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, indeed.
Glad to catch you.
Well, what's up? Where are you calling
what's
from?
What's your name?
Who
Where are you
is
calling
this?
from?
This is Manu from Germany.
Hey, man. Welcome.
Hello, Manu.
What?
Hello.
Sorry?
We said hello.
Yeah, I said hello. No, it's about 2 a.m. in Germany. I'm sitting here in my shorts, listening to three guys reminiscing about good old happy times. And I thought I'd just call in because no one else was calling in.
Well, listen, I appreciate that. That's what.
Put a shirt on, buddy. Put a shirt on.
So what's going on with you? What's your story?
Well, actually, I've been holding on calling for a very long time. I've written Joe an email a couple of years ago, and I've been listening to the show for about, I think, 5 years.
Wow.
So I basically wanted to call in to sum up my story really quickly. So I'm 25 years old now, and I've had a hair transplant, of course, when I was 20-year-old in 2017, which was obviously the biggest mistake of my life.
Wow.
Sorry to hear that.
If only I had known about the show before that, I probably wouldn't have had it.
Well, your story is not uncommon, man. So you can't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, I've got a question. Can you really hear me? Because I'm actually watching you in video right now on YouTube, and the signal is the video on YouTube is coming back a few seconds later.
Well, that's how it works. You hear us on the phone, and the signal is delayed going to YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Great to know.
So yes, we can hear you. So go ahead.
I'll be quick. My hair loss started at about 16 years old, at a really fast pace, I would say. And when I got to be 19, I've made the decision to go in for a hair transplant without ever taking medication, which is just stupid. Don't do that. To anyone listening, never consider a hair transplant without having tried out medication for at least a year, I would say even. So anyway, I went in. I had a transplant in Germany. I knew about the risks of the Turkish market, and I thought it would be safe to have a hair transplant in Germany or in Europe for that matter. And I couldn't have been more wrong.
Let me ask you a question. So when you went in to have a consultation at the German clinic, you're 19 years old, 19 going on 20, whatever. I mean, did they warn you at all that, listen, this is a big decision. You're very young. Maybe you should consider getting on medication. Was there any of that discussed with you?
Well, yeah, to some degree. The first person I talked to was actually not the doctor, but basically a salesperson. At the time, I thought it was my doctor, but it was just a salesperson flown in from another city.
Jesus. Was the person wearing a white coat?
No, a business suit.
Okay.
A business suit. Okay.
But I did have a consultation with the actual doctor on the day of the surgery, which was probably not the best time to have a consultation because, I mean, really, at the day of the surgery, you're just under a lot of stress, especially at 20 years old. I had already made up my mind, but I was informed about the risks, yeah. And what the risk was, I would not want to take finasteride and continue on with it.
Okay, so the risk was that if you don't take finasteride, what?
Well, I might have to come back for more, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so they didn't really give you full. They didn't really provide you with full disclosure. They didn't give you all the information you really needed to make a fully informed decision.
It's difficult to say, really. I was in such a state of mind. I was a little over enthusiastic, I would say, and obviously I didn't do my due diligence. I was talked about. It was talked about minoxidil and finasteride, rather quickly, and I had told them at the time that I wouldn't want to try it out and would want to have a hair transplant first. And actually, I really did believe that I could have a transplant first, and if the need arises, try finasteride later, which makes absolutely no sense, of course, but that's...
Right, but my point is that this is how they should have advised you. Exactly how you've learned over the course of however many years watching the program. This is what they should have advised you. Listen, you're 19 years old. Hair loss is progressive. If you're ever going to consider using medication, it's better to start with medication prior to having surgery and making the decision to jump in and go under the knife and see how you do on surgery, because see how you do on medication. Because the truth is, you might not need medication. You might not need surgery in a year if medication works well for you. That's what any reasonable consultant or surgeon would have advised you.
I really believe I probably at the time wouldn't have needed surgery if finasteride had worked well for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But going on about this, I've had 1,700 grafts via FUE, and the result was basically boar bristles on top of my head, like black, thick multi-grafts in the hairline,
Jesus,
angles,
fucking Germany,
all wrong,
in Germany,
basically vertical. Yeah. Well, I did not expect that. I did call the clinic once during the growth phase, during the first 12 months, but they just said, okay, if it's this color, the hair, my natural hair color is somewhat of a cool brown, I can just dye my hair. That was not very helpful, of course, especially the grafts being just coarse, thick.
So I'm gonna. I just want to kind of cut to the chase here. So look, you're 19 years old. You go in and have hair transplant surgery. You see a consultant. The consultant doesn't really provide you with, in my view, from what you've described, an honest assessment of your situation. When you sat down and had the consultation with the doctor during the day of surgery, what was his demeanor? I mean, was he just like, I'm going, hey, how are you? Let's draw your hairline and go? Or did he discuss anything with you?
I would say he was actually quite nice and took his time. I think he talked to me about 45 minutes before the hair transplant.
Okay.
I thought he was professional, but it really couldn't have saved me. At that point, I traveled to that clinic by train. Yeah, I was determined.
You know how he could have saved you? He could have said, I can't operate on you. That would have saved you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't know about the show, about Joe. I can actually vividly remember seeing a video on YouTube a couple of days before the hair transplant titled, Don't Have a Hair Transplant. Well, I think that was Joe's first video on YouTube.
Yeah, the popular video.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I had already booked my hair transplant months before. I didn't click on that video. I shared it afterwards. And I actually learned about you during those 12 months that I waited for the results to come in.
One simple click would have changed your life.
Yeah.
One simple click. Honestly, if I had just known about this show a week before, I would have canceled it. The hair transplant, probably.
Well, you would have heard you would have heard Spencer saying that the deposit that you put down for this surgery is the best money you ever lost, because no bad hair transplant is worth going through just to maintain that deposit, just for not losing it.
Yeah.
My question: which clinic was this? Because there used to be a really good clinic in Germany years ago called the Mosier Clinic, and I don't know what's happened to them. But that was 15 years ago that I used to they actually came over to visit us in our clinic in Vancouver years ago, and they were putting out some really good work. But aside from them, I don't know of anyone that was worth considering. So I'm curious. I'm curious who you chose for this procedure 5 years ago.
Let me tell you, Germans make great cars. I was going to say something else, but I'm not going to say it.
Great airplanes.
Good sausages.
Good sausages.
Good sausages. Good beer. Good beer.
I was going to talk about their cooking apparatuses, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Das Bier ist gut.
Fucked up.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I've driven a lot of German cars, and being Jewish, I'm always getting the stink eye from my dad or whatever at the time. I was like, look, they're good cars. What am I going to do?
Hey, moving on, back on topic.
Oh, okay, back on topic.
I tell you this.
Sorry, go ahead.
Joe liked that one.
That's okay.
I did. That was good. Sorry, man.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the chat. Go ahead, sir.
Which clinic was it?
Go ahead, sir. Sorry to throw you off.
No, you didn't. It's just a little confusing seeing you laugh like 10 seconds after you told the joke via YouTube.
Well, I'm gonna tell you a secret. It's kind of like when you're on a radio show.
Don't watch the video.
Don't watch the video and don't listen to the show, and this way you can just listen to us.
Yeah, but look, but then I couldn't see Specs slightly sleeping off, so I know when to speed things up a little.
Buddy, I have literally come in on the red eye, so forgive me. I'm listening to your story.
He wants to get out of here so fucking fast.
That's hilarious.
No. I'm listening to your story, buddy.
No. That's really okay. No, it's probably a clinic. Maybe Joe doesn't even know. It certainly wasn't this clinic that he just talked about.
He'll know them.
I'll say the name. The name is Hair. It's one of the newer clinics, and they're doing everything like liposuction, rhinoplasty.
Yeah, I was going to say I have heard of them.
It's not.
Yeah, and they.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really a hair-specific clinic. I was just.
No.
I was taken by the marketing. I thought, okay, in Germany this has to be professional to some degree, and what kind of put me over the top there was the financing option for that hair transplant. Really.
Oh yeah.
At 20 years old, that was.
So let me ask you: are you still paying for your bad hair transplant?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately not, but I did actually pay rates for 2 years after the hair transplant.
All right, so let's. So at this point, so you gave our listeners some really good advice, and I'm sorry that this has happened to you. But the thing is, you're saying you had 1,700 grafts moved, which is still a relatively. You're right there, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, still a relatively small procedure. So luckily you didn't have that many grafts moved. Where do you stand right now?
Well, fortunately, I was repairable because after about 16 months, I really thought, okay, I can't live with these boar bristles in my temple region. So that's when I started having all those multi-grafts removed via electrolysis. And Joe, that video that you made with Dr. Cooley about electrolysis really helped.
Yeah.
Because I actually found a person in Germany who's been doing electrolysis since 1973 and had work done on, I think, 5 hair transplant repair cases before me. So that really helped a great deal.
Good for you. Good for you.
All right, so what's your next step? And then we're going to take another quick call before we wrap up the show.
Well, out of those 1,700 grafts, I think like 100 or 200 are probably remaining. So I basically removed everything. You
decided to just have everything removed through electrolysis.
Yeah, almost everything.
And basically discard the grafts. And I understand that. Joe is of the belief, that it's probably, sometimes you have to just get rid of the grafts. It can't be really reused. 1,700 grafts is a lot. to, I say, just discard. But it's still a relatively small amount compared to, if you would have had 4,000 or 5,000 grafts, you would have been fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
How's your donor
I
area?
honestly think, well, that's, on one side, it looks like I have kind of moth holes. It's not really a homogeneous donor result. And I think in the future I might have that repaired.
Okay.
But in the front, now that these almost 1,700 grafts are missing, it's actually I can't bear with it. It's not that bad anymore.
Well, I'm glad that you're able to kind of move on with your life, and tell. Sadly, you have to tell, which is a cautionary tale. But I'm really glad that you were able to find the broadcast, and I think that you're probably going to make some. Not saying that you made poor choices, because you didn't know. You were 19, 20 years old. You were guided in the wrong direction. You were misguided by people who are supposed to be professionals. So, I wouldn't beat myself up over it. I mean, you still have a lot of hair in the bank if you need it. Are you on finasteride now?
Well, for full disclosure, I'm on dutasteride and oral minoxidil actually right now.
All right, so you went. Okay. I mean, you went from I'm not touching any medications
hardcore
to going hardcore. And how are you doing?
Yeah, that experience was so traumatic. I actually started out with finasteride 4 years ago. Now I'm on dutasteride and oral minoxidil, as I said.
Okay.
The dose is 2.5 milligrams of minoxidil every other day, and 0.5 milligrams of dutasteride every other day. So I take them together, actually.
And you're doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
That's great, man. Well, listen, first of all, we're going to have to go, but I appreciate the call. I'm glad that there's a happy ending, or at least, midpoint to this story, where you're able to live your life. You're not permanently disfigured, and, you're doing well on medication. You're young. There's a good chance you're going to be able to retain that hair for quite a long time. So as far as moving forward with another procedure, don't rush it, man. Take your time.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw that in there. I don't think those grafts could have been used anyway. I mean, they were really crooked, and I also think the slits for the recipient area were too small to take the grafts from the donor area. So overall, it was probably the best decision I could have made at that time.
I think I'm glad that you feel that way, and that's the bottom line is you're in a better position than you were when you realized that this was growing in and not looking great. So I'm happy for you.
And moving forward, you've found now all the resources that you need to help you make a much more informed decision, man, if you choose to have further surgery.
Yeah.
All right, man.
So anyway,
listen,
thank you guys.
I appreciate the call. I appreciate the fact that you're up in your boxer shorts, 2:00 in the morning in Germany. Some of our callers wanted to know what else you're wearing, but I decided not to burden you with that.
Well, actually, the shorts is the only thing I'm wearing right now, so you can tell him that.
I think Joe just got a little thrill out of that.
All
right, man.
That would be FSK.
Okay.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care.
Well,
thanks for the call. Good luck.
Thanks for calling, Manuel.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
you for everything that the three musketeers of you do, and, well, have a great night.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
All right, we're going to take this last call. I know it's late, but no one else was calling before.
Before we do, let me answer Mike Pedroza in the chat room. He says, Joe, why can't those grafts be reused, saved instead of destroyed? Couldn't they be moved? A lot of times they can be, but when you're dealing with I don't recall ever seeing that last caller's case, but the one that he was referring to with Dr. Cooley. Those grafts could not be salvaged because a lot of times when you go to a substandard clinic, not only are the grafts, this is actually most of the time, not only are the grafts misangled and placed in the wrong direction, they can also be damaged from just going to a bad clinic to begin with. And so you don't want those grafts back in your scalp to begin with, because they're usually kinky and wiry compared to the rest of the hair in a patient that might, say, have fine, light-colored hair that is very straight. So it can cause cosmetic issues, and you don't even know if those grafts are going to grow to begin with. I'm a big believer in recycling what can be recycled, but I'm not a fan of recycling hair just for the sake of recycling hair, because it can cause more problems than it solves.
Well said,
So
Joseph.
there you go.
Let's take a call.
Thank you.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Last call of the night.
Hi, it's Matthew from Sydney, Australia.
What's your name?
All right.
Matthew.
Matthew, welcome, man.
Hello, Matthew.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. Look, I'll just keep it short and sweet. So I'm 29 years old. I'm a Norwood 2 to 3, slightly diffuse. But I have an autoimmune / skin condition. It's called hidradenitis. Basically what happens is my sweat glands and my hair follicles, they get inflamed.
Okay.
And you get abscess that form, and you have to get them either drained or surgically removed.
Okay.
So I've actually had...
That's got to be tough.
Yeah, I've actually had surgery on my head that's left scarring because I had to remove the abscess. It's probably about half a thumb in size in my dome area. So there's not many hair transplant surgeons here in Australia, but I went to Dr. Knudsen, who's really good. But my only problem is there's not many photos of his results on his website. So I was wondering if you guys deal with many Australians and where they actually go for hair transplants.
Well, I can tell you this, that, Dr. Knudsen has been around forever. And, there is an old school quality to, I guess, quote unquote marketing, where he's not putting a lot of images on his website. He has an associate, a partner. I don't know if he's a full partner in the practice. And as you know, they do a program together on YouTube, which I think has really brought a lot of great information to a lot of people. And I really appreciate that. But I can't really vouch for Dr. Knudsen at this point because I haven't seen a lot of his work. He's a super nice dude, and he's been around forever, and he's one of the few guys, old school guys, that really respects what, the program and what we do, but he's never applied to the organization, and I haven't really seen much from him. So when you say he's a really good, just like you, I haven't had a chance to see a lot of his work. He should be really good, though.
Yeah.
Joe?
I agree with everything you just said. Knudsen's a really nice guy. He's a hell of a dancer. I can say that much. But I just haven't seen much of his work. I can't vouch for him.
They're going to be playing this over and over, man. That is fucking classic. He's a hell of a dancer.
He's a hell of a dancer.
So do you guys,
but I say that because I can't say
many
anything good or bad. I just don't know.
Yeah.
What?
So do you guys deal with many Australians? Do you guys deal with many Australians into where they actually go? Do they have surgery in Australia, or do they go overseas usually?
Well, a lot of people are having surgery in Australia, but the ones that I deal with, that I talk to, have usually found my resources or IAHRS, or they found specs, and they'll usually leave Australia to go to parts unknown for their own procedures. They'll go India, usually to eugenics. They'll go to maybe Turkey to a couple of the quality clinics there. They might go to the UK. A lot of them even go to North America. They'll come to Canada, or they'll go to the States. Because frankly, there's just more options out there for you. There is one doctor that I know a little bit about. I know where he trained. He trained with one of the better hair transplant doctors in the field, Dr. Christian Bazanga. And I know that his ethics are in the right space. I've talked to him several times. His name is Dr. Bevan Borul. Yeah. I think he's in Melbourne. And he's a dermatologist, so he knows a lot about skin conditions and can help in that respect as well. But again, I've not seen his surgery. He's had some of the best training in the world from, arguably one of the best doctors in the world, but I've not seen it because I talked to him about it. He's actually updating his website and trying to get his photos together. But he would be someone to at least talk to. I'm not saying have surgery. I'm just saying maybe talk to him, get his take on things, and see what's available for you.
Just cool. No worries. Thanks a lot, guys.
Just to add quickly, I mean, like Joe just said, I mean, I get a lot of people that mention, that are in Australia. Where could I go in Australia? And I think over the number of years that question has been asked, I would have hoped that we would have all been able to advise you more accordingly, because no name has really come to the surface, or names have come to the surface or applied to the IAHRS to enable us to give you that, that outlet. However, is there anything preventing you from traveling outside of Australia, or are you restricted to staying in Australia?
No, there's nothing restricting me. I'd feel more comfortable if it was here, if I could get good results, because it's close to home, it's less stress, I don't have to travel, but if there's no great options here, there's better options overseas, well, you got to definitely go overseas. There's nothing restricting me at all, no.
I get it, man, but even traveling within Australia, gosh, it could take you several hours anyway, so just keep, but it can, it's a big old space. Great place, but I think, to help you just get perspective on it is, don't feel, despite the fact there could be some good surgeons there, there's no, and I'm sorry that we can't give you the name of a few. Hopefully in time we will be able to, or they'll fall under the banner of the IAHRS. However, with a situation or circumstances such as yourself, you need to make sure that you make the right decision and do not allow a hop on a flight to prevent you from making the best decision you can make for your personal circumstances.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, man. Listen, good luck.
Cheers.
Appreciate the call. Take care.
Thanks for calling.
All right, let's call it a night, guys.
That was salvage. Thank you for the callers for helping to extend the show almost 30 minutes past the normal cutoff. It's because it was a good show. So thanks for your calls, and thanks for the guys in the chat room.
And we got
that was awesome.
We have something to put on Instagram.
Now we got something. Finally, Jesus, it's about time.
Let's just blame Specs.
Yeah. All of a sudden, we have a guest.
He's leaving anyway, so
we have a guest. No calls. What the fuck is going on?
I think we did well. Right, I think we did well.
No, it was a fun show.
Joe, give out the sites. I need to get out of here, buddy. Come on. Can I start? Can I start? I love it when you give out the sites.
Please do. Please do. It's all you, man.
First site. No. I love it when you do them. Well, I think it would be apt for me to say, for all the listeners, to also have a look at apetogentleman.com for the Bald Truth UK. Spencer and I have not been able to film of late just because we've both been very busy and syncing up. People don't realize what it takes for us to get callers and for us to sync up, the time difference. However, we will be re-recording shows shortly when I can get back to the UK. apetogentleman.com, fantastic resource for everything that is male grooming related. They've provided us an incredible platform to get a lot of eyeballs on our show, and we have some great callers, and there's a great deal of exciting stuff coming down the pipe with regards to that. So the Bald Truth UK.
That's it.
I'm only going to do that one. I'm only going to do one.
Joe, you're not.
And specshair.com.
Yeah, and specshair.com. I just put the camera on Joe. Joe, you're sitting there like tying your shoes.
Actually, I've got some interesting information that you guys want to hear offline. Okay, so I'll pick it up from here. So aside from apetogentleman.com and specshair.com, I didn't even think about Specs. I apologize, Specs. Specshair.com, which is where Specs has his incredible
resources. He just filed that shit away. Don't worry.
Oh, don't worry, buddy. I'm one step ahead of you. I know you don't mention it every week.
Here we go.
Allow me to introduce your website, Joe. Yeah, when you finish this, allow me to do yours.
The door's been opened, and apparently they stepped through. Specshair.com is where you can find anything and everything about Specs Spencer Stevenson and his journey. The man's had entirely too many hair transplants. How many now? 13?
13.
Jesus H. Christ, man. That's just way too...
I think it's a world record.
Why?
Because I'll tell you why. Actually, the journey started long and hard with very small, inappropriate surgeries.
Yeah, inappropriate because they had you naked, and I don't know why you fell for that one. But
no, I wore my boxers like the last caller, so...
well, he didn't say they're boxers. They could have been whitey tighties.
Anyway.
But, so SpecsHair.com, you can see anything and everything about Specs. His repair journey. I'm trying to work here. His repair journey and his 13 procedures to where we get the manly and beautiful head of hair that we have to my left. Wait, to my left? Yeah, to my left. What else we got? We got ihrs.org. It's a safe place. .com. Safe place to start your journey for researching hair restoration surgeons that might be right for you. That's International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. And of course, it's endorsed by the American Hair Loss Association, the de facto standard when it comes to worldwide recognition and resources citing anything that can say, hey, we know what we're talking about when it comes to hair loss. So American Hair Loss Association is cited in all the big media, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, BBC, you name it, they cite it when they're talking about anything and everything hair loss or hair restoration. My YouTube channel, if you're watching this video, you can also listen to us on, if you're listening to us on one of the other resources like iHeartRadio, Spotify, things like that, Apple, iTunes. You can also watch us here on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. And what else is there? Supporters of this broadcast, our friends over at hairlosscure2020.com. It is a fantastic resource for all the non-surgical stuff that deals with hair loss and trying to keep your hair on your noggin. That's hairlosscure2020.com. They do host this broadcast on their website every Friday, so we appreciate their support there. The forums, there's hairlossexperiences.com, UK-based forum. It's a great resource, safe place to go and talk about your own experiences and to ask questions. And of course, baldtruthtalk.com, the most trafficked hair transplant and hair loss forum on the interwebs, and highly moderated.
Well, it's about to be highly modified. We're waiting on that shit.
And modified.
It's about to be highly modified, so that should be any day now, by the way.
Any day now.
Thank you. Say that every week, man.
I know I do. It's not my fault.
He really
my hands
does.
are tied.
He really does. But yeah, another great resource. And then, of course, as Specs is about to tell you about my own website. Back to you,
hairtransplantmentor.com, where you can find everything you need to know about Joe Tillman, his history, and what has led him to be the man he is today with an incredible head of hair. There is a great number of resources on it that give you a plethora of information and archives on the Bald Truth. And yeah, a fantastic site, and I like the new look of the new site, Joe, I have to say. So I know it's not new now, it's been out there quite a while, but I was looking at it the other day, and all the doctors that Joe works with, that lo and behold will be part of the IAHRS, a fantastic resource, hairtransplantmentor.com.
I'm actually going to start having fucking Specs come on the live show to give out the sites.
You just have it recorded and just have it on your 360.
That shit was smooth.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty good.
It was.
Yeah. I like that.
If I do say so
myself. Three Coronas in and I can nail it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think there's anything else really, Joe.
I'm fucking jealous, by the way. Man, I wish I could drink today. Yeah. Anyway, guys, so that's it. Great show. Thank you so much. I love having, good people in my space. So Specs, thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, man. Yeah. And listen, Joe, when you get out of Canada, you're invited too, by the way.
Thank you
when he
very
gets
much.
off tag, when he gets off the tag,
When he
he's
gets off the
allowed
tag.
out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It might be sooner than later. We'll see.
Oh man, you know what?
Too much silence there. You're supposed to say that's good.
I'm not even
supposed to say
drunk,
that's
and I
good.
invited him to my place.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Listen, until next week, until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.